What's up, y'all, and welcome back to another episode
of The Real.
With my co-host, Colt 45, live from the Colt 45 studios here in his bedroom this afternoon. Well, happy late 4th of July, so it is sweltering hot out there, man. Me and Colt just got done mowing some grass off. I'm still sweating. You'll know what's going on. But, man, hot topic today. So, public or private, who owns the rivers? We're going to dive off in that here shortly. We'll tell y'all what we think. We want to hear what y'all think. But first, let's go to the Tiger Creek Bait and Tackle Fish of the Week. It goes to my man Jacob Cruz. Y'all check out this Satilla Gorilla.
Man, that was a tank.
That's a big fish. I think that thing was almost 25 inches long, right at it. Jacob had a ruler on his kayak, and he was actually FaceTiming me while I'm building fishing lures. I'm not going to get into that, but anyway, congratulations, Jacob, on a heck of a fish. And, hey, I guess now, we're just going to dive off in this thing. I know we got some people new to the channel, so glad y'all are here. If, like we always say, if you're back for more, you're as crazy as we are, but, are Georgia's rivers public or private? What do you think, Cole?
I feel like it's a little bit of both because, I get it should be, for everybody public, but you don't want certain people on your property and, stuff like that.
I don't think... It almost sounds rehearsed, but it's not. Yeah. I don't think I could have said it better myself, For those that don't know, many are probably aware, Georgia's problem, the issue with public and private rivers, sort of started, really got fired up good a few years back. Yellow Jacket Shoals on the Flint River is where it all started. And anyway, basically I believe a cable got put up. Long story short, fishing got cut. It's been back and forth in the Supreme Court. Yeah. And now it's sort of settled in on you can float through that stretch of river on the Flint, but you can't fish it. So, yeah, I know. But check this out now. In defense to the landowners, in defense to them. And I'll tell y'all what I think in a minute. So, don't think I'm pro no public access. But in defense to them, they had it in their deed where, that was pretty much going to be exclusive for them to fish. I don't know about you. If I buy a stretch of the whatchamacallit river and my property deed says no one can fish there but me, well, that's kind of what you expect, So, but anyway, so things rocked and rolled on. And, it sort of got kicked up again a few weeks ago. The Georgia Bassmaster, you can find him on YouTube. What little bit I've got to see, really great channel. Him and somebody else, I'm not sure who, I don't want to get in specifics. And you could find this on the Georgia Bassmaster YouTube channel. I'll try to remember to put a link. I don't want to share any clips here because I don't want, anybody to say there's a copyright issue. Yeah. But anyway. So they're fishing on the Flint. Landowner comes out there, or I believe it might be the man who's leasing it. Yeah. Comes out. Did you see the clip? I don't think you've seen it.
No, not yet.
He comes out into the river, grabs onto the kayak. He grabs on. Now, let me say, he didn't cuss. He didn't yell. He didn't call anybody any names. He simply said, hey, you can't fish here. And I'm going to hit the brakes right there. You can even pause it and say what you want in the comments, but if that's what his property rights are, and that's what the Supreme Court said, I'm not saying that's right. All I'm saying is that's what the law says.
Yeah.
There's parts of town that I don't think the speed limit should be 35.
Yeah.
I think it should be 55.
Yeah.
But guess what? It doesn't matter what I think. So that's a pretty interesting situation. So, law gets called anyway, a lot of dust kicked up. You can check that out on the Georgia Bassmaster's channel. It's probably better if you watch it yourself to see what you think. Now, here's where I kind of come in, and I'm going to give you a chance here in a minute. Like you've already said, a lot of the way I'm feeling. But, I first started fishing the Satilla River as a young boy, Colt's age, walking through the woods on property that wasn't mine. All of us boys did it. Shout out to all of y'all that are watching, but, it wasn't nothing. We rode our bikes through there. Wasn't no sneaking around. We weren't breaking the law in our mind. We went all up and down the river on everybody's land, and it never was a problem. That was, let's see, how old am I? 38. We're talking 30 years ago almost, So it's hard for me because I want to lean on the side of anybody should be able to fish anywhere.
Yeah.
What do you think?
But like I said before, it's just like a matter of who's on your property, you know, like stuff like that, you know.
I like that. And here's why. Think about it right out back here. We got a pond. For those of y'all that don't know, there's a little wetland stream where the redfin pike are.
Yeah.
It runs onto the neighbor's property. Now, what happens if my neighbor decides, hey, well, since this stream runs to my property, I'm going to walk onto his property. And now all of a sudden I open the back window, Miley's out there kicking her soccer ball, and I've got a stranger that's walked through a public waterway up to my backyard.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Yeah.
You know, there's a reason. I think my phone might be going off, but that'll be okay. There's a reason why, you know, you need public and private access, in my opinion, for stuff like that. Like you said, it ain't always some little kids Colt's age just wanting to catch a redbreast. Sometimes it could be somebody wanting to steal your stuff. So, you know, and that's where James Burchett comes in, you know, Miss Burchett from your school. So really sweet lady, the doings I've had with her and her husband, James. He's a representative for the state of Georgia, House of Representatives. And, you know, he's the one who kind of drew up this bill, for those that don't know, on what's navigable and what's not navigable in Georgia. So, and Colt's not on Facebook, of course. He's barely tall enough to ride roller coasters. But and this troubles me. And if I'm talking to you, I hope I'm not. You know, I've seen him come under a lot of backlash here lately. And as far as and this is sort of the angle, they feel like he's not looked out for public river fishermen. But if you fish on the Satilla, it's protected all the way to Highway 64, which is basically the beginning.
Yeah.
And the Alabahaw that feeds it all the way up to the forks of the Hurricane, or Hurricane, but as locals know it, the Hurricane. So I don't see what problem people have. And Mr. Burchett, he's someone I casually know. He's not what I would define as a close friend, so it's not like I'm just sticking up for a buddy. But I feel like he's done a pretty good job. They went all throughout the state, had all these meetings, and sort of tried to decide what's public and private. So my question to y'all is what should be public and private? What is navigable? What's in your mind, Colt? What's a navigable river, you know, that you can navigate versus non-navigable?
The Satilla.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, what in your mind's a river that you can't go down, like you shouldn't be able? There's no wrong answer, just a thought. Like maybe something like a creek, maybe like like Kettle Creek, where it's just sticks in the woods that you can't. But the Satilla, if the trees are trimmed, well, that's navigable.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know. I don't really know. I said all that to say this. I don't know quite where I'm standing with it, because there's the side of me who believes that, hey, it's a public river. The good Lord made it. You know, I should be able to do what I want. But then there's another part that, hey, you know, maybe these property lines are a good thing.
Yeah.
So, and I know somebody's right now, you're probably about to come out your recliner yelling at the TV, well, he's saying everything shouldn't be public. But that's not the case at all. If you buy a river cabin, all right, let's say, because I dream of doing that one day.
Yeah.
If I buy a river cabin, 200 yards off the Satilla with a pretty view down to the water, and then the river's up. And let's just say it's 15, 20 years from now that my grandkids is playing in the yard. And once again, we're back to, I look out the window and there's some creepy man standing right there by your grandkids. And hey, if legally, you know, if you say he can come up with the water, and I don't think you should be able to. I'm going to go ahead and say.
I will just say this, that, like, just listen to the law. Like, you don't gotta agree to it, but like, if the laws say it, then just to save yourself from trouble and just.
I think I'm almost a little afraid we're becoming like the left, like some of the extremist Democrats, where we're not getting off on a political debate here, but it's almost like if I hear something I don't like, well, I'm going to show out. If you tell me I can't fish Yellow Jacket shoals, I'm ready to protest. I'm going to wear this is no good. And I mean, come on, people. I mean, laws are laws. Should they have wrote that deed in like that way back when? No.
They probably wasn't even thinking about it though. Like,
very good point, man. They weren't. This was wrote back during a time when fishing wasn't recreational.
Yeah, like
nobody had a kayak. There weren't even no such a thing.
Yeah.
These were written to kind of say, okay, this is a navigable river. You can float a barge down it. You can haul goods. This little creek's not. That's what that was. So a lot of that stuff, nobody was trying to do nobody wrong. But along the same lines, I do fear if we start locking off rivers and saying, hey, well, that at Yellow Jacket Shoals, if 10 people on the Satilla do it 3 miles apart, well, now you got 30 miles of river that you can't fish.
Yeah.
So I do think we need to draw the line somewhere. What do you think?
I mean, I just think as long as nobody's like doing nothing like wrong, unless like they're getting out on your property and like, where the water line is. I just think if they're just fishing like, and they ain't just throwing like trash everywhere, I just think maybe a little bit they should like let them slide a little bit. Right. But that is the law. So.
And I'm with that too. That's here's another thing too. All right, everybody, and hey, me and Colt like to camp on the river and all, and technically the sandbars are not public in Georgia. Now, in Florida, they are. In Florida, you can actually camp on a sandbar. But in Georgia, technically, whoever owns that side of the river owns to the middle of the river, to the bottom. And whoever owns the other side owns to that side. And if you own both sides, well, essentially, you own the whole river bottom.
Yeah.
But, and that sounds crazy. It's like, we can't even camp on a sandbar. But however, we're back to that same thing. Let's say we buy us a nice piece of river property 2 miles from the bridge, and it's public. Well, what stops? I don't know if any of y'all have ever been to like the Seattle, Portland area where people are camping wherever they want on the streets. What happens when they start doing that on sandbars? And what happens when it's in front of your river cabin?
Yeah.
And if it's public, you can't tell them to move.
Yeah.
They could build a house there.
Yeah.
Really, a hut.
Yeah.
They can't build a house because codes would get them, but they could build like a little, put a tent, run a generator, wash in the river, bathe, got all kind of sanitation, use the bathroom. I don't want to dive off in that.
Yeah.
So,
it's like you can't really pick a side in this,
I don't even know if there is a good side, but I stand by that. Anybody that's trashing James Burchett, you're wrong. He's done a good job.
Yeah.
He's done a good. He's not the Supreme Court, people. Yeah. I see y'all on Facebook saying he hasn't protected their. I mean, I'm sort of getting loud here. I better be quiet. Your mama will come back here and told me to settle down, but. He's not the Supreme Court. None of us are. And even when you get to the Supreme Court, it's not so easy just to come down and change a decision. You're not just going to take that land at Yellow Jacket Shoals and say, you know what, landowner, too bad, so sad. That's not how the judicial system works.
Yeah. So,
but I do think there's a good argument on both sides. And I think if you really sit back and even Colt at 11 years old, and I promise y'all, he wasn't coached before we come in here. Was you coached on what to say? He don't even know what Yellow Jacket Shoals is to equal up to anything. But if you look at it the way he does, it's kind of either way. And I want to know what y'all think in the comments, but I want to say a few things about that. If you got something to say in the comments, by all means, put your opinion as long as it's respectful. It's not trashing anybody, cursing, being nasty, all the general Sunday school rules. As long as it's good to go, we'll leave it down there. But don't trash anybody else either.
Yeah, don't be like fighting in the comments.
Yeah. If somebody else has got a different opinion than you, that's okay. I'm not saying I'm right. I don't know what the right answer is. Part of me, I'm still that 9-year-old little boy that used to ride my bicycle to the river. And even if we saw a landowner, he didn't run us off. He didn't know us, but they're just kids fishing. But then also, now I'm the guy who's like, hey, do I really, when I go to places, like I say, out west, you didn't go to Portland with me and Mom, but dude, you see people living on the streets, building shacks. You want that on the river? Technically, under the bridge. What stops them from living there? It's public.
Yeah.
And some people are living there, and we're having that problem locally. So y'all tell me what y'all think about that. I really don't know. And I do encourage you to look up on that Yellow Jacket Shoal situation. GON I write for. You can find a lot of good information there, GON Magazine. Check out the Georgia Bassmaster. Like I say, that just become a big thing in the news. Educate yourself on it. Hey, reach out to, that was another thing I was impressed by Mr. Burchett. When I called him, he called me back.
Yeah.
I mean, and nowadays with a politician, dude, that's hard to get done. It really is. So, and he had concern, and I believe, don't quote me on this, because I talked to so many people, I may have heard him wrong, but I believe he's a property owner. His family or something. But even so, he looked out for the public access. He realizes, that matters too. So, anyway, but we'll dive off. With that being said, we'll dive off into some. But tell me what y'all. We're gonna get into local reports. But tell me what y'all think. So I really want to know, because me and Colt aren't sitting here saying we're right, you're wrong, but I do think we all got to come together. We can't count on the government to do it for us. So
like, what the heck? Me and you probably don't even know what side we're picking. So
right. Yeah, we got to come together. I see that on Facebook way too much. The bickering, the back and forth, and we got to come together and kind of come up with our own. We can't count on the government to come in and fix everything.
Yeah.
And my thing is this, and this is what I'll say about Yellow Jacket shows. And I don't know if the Georgia Bassmaster, there again, I'm not dragging him into our show because he's got a great show. I don't know if he knew that was private. But if you know it's private, it's the law. It's the law. I don't care. You're not gonna. If I know the speed limit going into my town of Waycross and I choose to go through it because I don't agree with it, I'm breaking the law, and you're no different than somebody on the left. If that's you as a sportsman, you're no different. It's like a broken record with the Democratic Party as a whole. And don't get me wrong, I know a lot of great Democratic people who have a good mindset when it comes to government. So my papa was a Democrat. My grandmother. Nothing against the Democratic Party, but all I'm saying is some of these extremists. That's what we're sounding like. As supposable conservatives, well, I don't like the rules, so I'm going to show out. Can't be like that, but that's just my thoughts. Tell me what y'all think, man. If you've listened this long so far, super glad you are. So, and if you're a local angler, you might want to stay tuned with us over the next few minutes. We're going to get into the local reports, but first, let's go to Miley with the weather. Miley, what do you got for us?
Hi guys, I'm about to tell you about the weather, but it might just be easier to show you. So, right here is Canada. It's a big green screen, okay? So here's Canada. It's been very rainy right there. But if you go a little bit west to Alaska, it's been very hot recently. I wouldn't go there for fishing either. Then, just right up here is New Mexico, okay? And I would go there if I were you.
Bro.
All right, Miley, thank you, as always, I think. So let's talk local fish reports. Pile of stuff going on this week, man, all over the place. Starting with, let's go way up to me and you this past week on the Okmulgee. That's where we were, on the Okmulgee, man. That was fun. The shoal bass are firing off. That is a great option right now. So.
It's crazy to me how, just bite all day, really,
Yeah, all day long. Temperature's 100 degrees in Georgia right now. Man, you dive off in that Okmulgee, you could do it on the Flint too. But we'll have a video coming up on that Okmulgee trip here in the next day or two, as soon as I can get it out. But it's cool. The water's cool. I mean, I remember I was just dipping down in it every hour or so. There goes Dad.
It's crazy how, those giant ones were being this much of water.
Yeah. Yeah, and we did it with kayaks. We used those. We went with the Mullet Angler. You could check him out on YouTube. Super cool guy. Actually working on a Georgia Outdoor News magazine story. But anyway, you could have really did it without a kayak. You could have brought a book bag and just stayed in the shallow water, because a lot, like Colt said, what we were finding is a lot of those fish would be in water this deep, tucked under a rock that you couldn't see. And they would just come out. You catch them a lot. We caught them on a lot of different lures, but I'll let y'all see that soon. So that's the Okmulgee. Greg Johnson, I ain't told you about that. He messaged me that was yesterday. It was. Man, my days running together. I'm getting old, son. But the Oconee River He got on a good panfish bite with a swamp spider, so I looked like some red breast, bluegill, maybe even a couple bass. Can't remember, but swamp's still going good. So, which side of the swamp do you like better, east or west, Folkestone or Fargo? Folkestone. Yeah, that's where a lot of the big catches of warmouth's been coming. It seems like a lot jigs are the number one thing. So Folkestone's where the numbers are coming from. Satilla River. Son, I mean, right now, I'm going to try to drop this video tonight, and if you've watched this long, you need to hear me out. You need to be on the Satilla River tomorrow. The river's on a slight rise most places. The water's warm. They're going to smash the swamp spider, top water bugs, whatever you like to throw. They'll hit a lot of stuff, but this is the time to catch them on a bug. So it seems like me and Colt do our best when it's on a rise.
Yeah, I don't know if the Colt 45 would do anything.
Yeah, I think though with the water moving faster, since it's moving faster, it'll help get it down. It kind of got too low for it for a day or two. It's the only drawback to the Colt 45 spinnerbait we made. When it gets real shallow, real slow, it sort of dives a little faster than a lighter, say a beetle spin or something like that. But Satilla's pretty hot. St. Mary's. Yes, somebody sent me. Lord, I wish I could remember who it was. It might have been a couple people. You notice I'm doing that a lot. I wish I could remember. But the St. Mary's, though, I did remember seeing some brim, some good brim being caught, and red breast. So St. Mary's is firing off. The Altamahaw, the lakes in the Altamahaw have been pretty good. So pretty much, man, the South is wide open, the southern part of the state right now with this recent rain we've got. During the summertime, rain is the lifeblood of the rivers. Without the rain, you don't get the oxygen.
And you don't get the cool.
Yeah, that cooling, the oxygen. If you don't believe me, just stand outside on a hot summer day, 105-degree weather, skin's burning, you on fire, you're so hot you can't stand it. Then a nice cooling rain starts to hit you. It's going to make you feel good. It's doing the same thing to the fish. So, and the oxygen is the one thing we don't talk about. Talk about it cooling down, getting on a rise, but that oxygen, all those bubbles hitting the water, man, that makes them fish feel good. They're firing off. So hopefully me and Colt's going to get on some of those tomorrow. But anywhere and everywhere, they're biting pretty good. Appreciate y'all taking the time to watch this afternoon. If you hadn't already, do us a favor, like this video, subscribe to the channel, click on the notifications icon.
And we'll see you next time out on water or in the bedroom.